Okay.
Introduce.
Yeah, I'm Matthew Clark.
I'm Jeslyn Sorensen.
And I'm Emily Smith.
And today we're going to be talking about our science and art integration project. We're going to start off with our article. It was called Toward a STEM plus Arts Curriculum, Creating a Teacher Team. And the article pretty much talked about STEM becoming STEAM by adding that art element in with science, technology, engineering, and math. Steve Jobs repeatedly referred to linking technology with creative thinking and artistic design as a key factor in his stunning accomplishments. And then also, it was said in here that when science and math become entirely quantitative, there's a disconnect between math and real-world applications. So we felt like this project really brought in the real-world applications that sometimes end up missing in our lessons.
Okay. I was going to present the part of the article that kind of addressed why this would even work. Sometimes it might seem counterintuitive to put these two things together. They seem, in some people's minds, they might be polar opposites. But as the article said, when we bring these things together, because they're not really opposites, you can help some people who don't think they can do math or they don't want to do science. They can make these subjects less threatening. Same way for me. It's a good way for me to actually do some art that and become involved and awaken my mind in this way, in a way that I probably wouldn't have done it any other way. The article also said that this is a good way for people from an art background to engage in problem solving, while people with a science or math background or engineering background would have an opportunity to use creativity and imagination. And another reason why this might work is it gives people with an art background a chance to test their thoughts. And in art, you're constantly creating things and making things. So now people in science have an opportunity to execute ideas, to actually make things, which we have the opportunity to do in this project.
And then as far as art goes, it talks about making connections with individual interests. So if you're going to do this in a classroom, students might be really interested in science and not so much in that, so they can find something in science that they're interested in and apply that to what we're doing. We talked about texture a lot, so if they were interested in the texture part of it and not so much in the science, it makes them find an in to whatever you're trying to teach. And then something in nature is the Fibonacci sequence, and I talked about that in our article, so you could do something with that and how it relates to, like these are all patterns and things, and you can find that in whatever you're doing and maybe talk about that as you do this as well. And it also talked about keeping a sketchbook. So if you're keeping notes for science and then keeping sketches with those, you can build off of what content you're using in science with the sketches that you're doing for art and use that to build your image.
much smaller than what they appear here, and you could talk about how big those actually are. And you could also talk about systems and cycles, how a butterfly goes through its cycle, and the reproductive system of a human being. Those are all important science content.
So he was talking about that they have different textures for different reasons, and those are part of the science behind it. And then we explored texture first on this, on how to create different textures using different types of salt and alcohol and vinegar. And then we applied that up here. We found which ones matched most closely. With the butterfly egg was the small table salt, and so we used that, especially in the close-up, to highlight what that was supposed to look like.
It looked very porous.
Yeah, and then that helped. So that's a media exploration, which is something that is important in art if you're going to emphasize what you're doing. And then this one was very fluid looking, and there was no visible pores on it. And so we used the alcohol and vinegar in this area just to differentiate between the two of them. And then another thing that we talked about was color. That these were very natural looking colors, and this is immediately lends to what it is. And so using color as a way to, this is going to relate immediately to a human for most of them, just because of the way that it looks and the texture of it. And that's something that you can emphasize with this color is very different from this color, even though they are technically the same type of thing.
Any questions? All right.